How's it going, guys? My name is Michael, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Arctis Pro Wireless Gaming Headset by SteelSeries. This is arguably the best gaming headset on the market, and it better be for the $329 US price tag that this thing has. This headset has a ton of features that can be useful for content creators, live streamers, and gamers alike, and in this video I'm going to go through the pros and cons of this headset and all the features that it has. That way you can kind of gauge and kind of get an understanding on what this headset has to offer, and just to kind of see if this is the headset that you really should be spending $329 on. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, this headset is nothing short of incredible. It does so many things right, and I'm very happy with this headset so far. I've been using it for the past 3 weeks, and I actually switched over from the Astro A40s, and I used those for the past 3 years, and this is leaps and bounds better. I mean, you can't compare the two. The Astros were heavier, it didn't sound quite as good, and the fitment of it was just way too big for my head personally, and so I was really trying to dig down and find a headset that was going to fit me well, that was going to sound good, and that was going to tie my entire setup together very nicely. And the first feature I wanted to talk about with this wireless gaming headset are the hot swappable batteries. That can be a very big deal breaker for some people because of the fact that there are a ton of gamers out there, or just content creators or streamers, that will use these without turning them off for 6 to 10 to 12 hours at a time, and they need a headset that won't die on them in between all this, and you won't have to charge it and pick up another headset while you're doing it and all that other kind of stuff. And of course, if you have to plug it in and charge it while you're gaming, that just defeats the whole purpose of a wireless headset in general. And so the hot swappable batteries do a very good job at making this a valid option for content creators and streamers and gamers alike that are going to be gaming for long periods of time. Now, swapping out the batteries in this headset is as easy as pulling off the magnetic cover on the right ear cup, popping out the battery, putting in the new battery, and then taking that dead battery or the low battery and then just sliding it into the base station. The base station acts as the charging port for the battery, so all you have to do is just pop it into the base station and it charges it while you're gaming. Now, these things can last up to about 8 to 10 hours on one charge, so one battery should get you through a full gaming session. So at the end of the gaming session, all you have to do is just swap out the batteries, or before the gaming session, swap out the batteries, and you should be good to go. And the second feature I wanted to talk about with this headset is called side tone. And what side tone is that allows the microphone on the headset itself to bleed into your audio. That way you can hear yourself, or you can hear your real world surroundings. Now, side tone is extremely important to me because of the fact that I do a lot of live streams, and of course I game with a lot of people playing things like Apex Legends or Fortnite or other just big multiplayer games, and of course I don't want to be yelling over my teammates, or I don't want to be slurring my speech or anything like that. So having the option to add the side tone in my headset makes it a very good experience for me while I'm gaming. Another thing to note about the side tone is you can actually adjust the levels of the side tone, so you can either have your voice very loud or you can have it very quiet. And so what I actually do is, because the headset mic itself extends out, what I do is I have it kind of pulled all the way back into the headset, and then I turn it up to about a 6 or a 7. That way I don't have the mic out in front of my face because I don't necessarily use it a lot, but then again I can still hear myself and I can hear everything around me as well. That way if somebody comes and knocks on my door or does something like that, I can hear them just fine. And one of the biggest things that sets this headset apart from the rest is the fact that you can connect via Bluetooth to things like your phone or your computer or other things while gaming at the same time. There are other headsets that you can use as a standalone Bluetooth device, but this one allows you to connect to the base station and a Bluetooth device at the same time, which is extremely useful. This is a feature that I didn't know I needed until I actually had this headset. There is even a setting in the SteelSeries software that allows you the option to power on the Bluetooth automatically when you power up the headset every time you turn it on. And the cool thing about that is it'll automatically connect to whatever Bluetooth device that you connected it to before, like my phone for instance. And so every time I power up my headset, it automatically connects to my phone as a Bluetooth device. And then I can pick up things like phone calls calls, or I can even go into the Discord app in my phone and use it from there, or I can just listen to Spotify on my phone while I'm gaming as well. So it is an extremely cool feature to have, and it definitely sets itself apart from other gaming headsets by having this feature. Now, it does have chat mix and EQ settings as well, and if you don't know what those are, chat mix is where you can adjust the volume between another audio device that you have plugged in versus your gaming audio. So if you want to hear your gaming audio over the other audio, you can kind of move it from one side to the other and kind of get a fine-tuned balance from that aspect. And EQ allows you to fine-tune the sound that you get in the headset, whether you want more bass or more treble or just more of the high ends or less of the high ends or anything like that. You can go in and tweak it to your liking. Now, the sound quality of this headset is extremely good. I'm talking it is fantastic. It has really crisp and clear highs, mids, and lows. I even turned off the volume limiter in the software just to make sure I'm pushing it all the way to its max, and I really didn't get much distortion, if any at all, and so that was very impressive to me. But for a $330 headset, that's something that you kind of expect. Now let's talk about the base station for a minute. This is what ties everything together for this headset. It connects the headset to your computer and to your other devices while gaming, and of course it also charges the battery itself. I have had no issues with this base station, and it does everything extremely well. There are a couple of limitations that I will talk about in a minute, but for right now, let's go ahead and talk about the connectivities and the things that you can do with it. Now, the base station itself has a line in and a line out. It has an optional DC power input as well as the USB input, and it has an optical in and an optical out. You really don't need to use the DC power input, and that's why it says optional, is because if you're plugging it into your computer via USB, you can just draw the power in through that. The base station features an OLED screen on the front as well as a big volume knob, which also acts as a tactile button, and it also has a tactile button next to it on the left hand side, which acts as your main back button. Navigating through the menu on the base station is very simple. It is very straightforward. It's very user friendly, so you shouldn't have any issues with it. It took me less than 5 minutes to figure everything out, from the side tone to the chat mix to the EQ and just swapping between the different source settings. Now let's talk about a couple of issues that I have with the headset. The first being the fitment. For somebody like me that has a smaller head, it fits just fine, but when I am wearing my hat and trying to wear the headset on top of that, it does get really snug. So I wish there was a way to adjust it from, up and down, not necessarily from side to side, because you do get a lot of flex, but just the up and down motion, there's no adjustability. So if you have a bigger head, that's something that you need to take into consideration. Now, you can adjust this strap that goes around the band, but you can only adjust it so much, and it kind of bottoms out pretty quickly, and the padding under the strap itself is very uncomfortable. There is not enough padding there, and I have it bottomed out on mine, and when I wear it for more than, say, an hour or two, I do get a sore spot on the top of my head. So I definitely think I'm going to add some sort of more padding right there to kind of help with that. But other than that, it's a very well made headset. Now, the only other issue that I have with this headset is the fact that you can only use 2 audio inputs at one time. And what I mean by that is you can only use the optical in or the line in with the USB at any given time. You cannot use the optical in and the line in at the same time, and so that is kind of limiting for people that have very complex setups like myself. So what I had to do is I had to plug in via USB into my gaming PC and have my audio through the USB device, and then I use an auxiliary cable from the headphone jack on my streaming PC into the line in on the base station itself. Now, the only reason why this is an issue for me is because I wish I had the option to use the line in, the optical in, and the USB audio all at the same time, and the reason why is because I have multiple consoles and also have a gaming PC and a streaming PC itself, and I wish I could get all the audio together without having to switch in between them. So what I actually have to do is I have to switch from, say, the line in over to the optical in when I want to switch from gaming on my PC to gaming on my consoles. It's not that big of a deal. All I have to do is go in there and switch the source, and of course that's what it's for. But again, I wish there was an option to have it all bundled together so I didn't have to switch in between each one. And of course, like I said, you can only use one at any given time. So while I'm gaming on my my consoles, and for some odd reason I had my gaming PC turned on as well, I can't have the audio from the gaming PC and the console at the same time, and so it's just kind of inconvenience. Really, it's not a big issue. They could easily update that with the software, but again, that is something to note if you're really big in that kind of stuff anyways. And one more thing that I forgot to mention as well is there's no way to turn the base station off. There is no power button, and there is no way to turn it off in the settings either. It's just on. As long as it's plugged into a USB or the DC power input, it's powered on and there's no way to turn it off. Now that's not necessarily a big issue. I went into some forums and I looked around and I asked a bunch of questions on how you can turn this thing off or if there's going to be any issues with it staying on constantly. And the only answer that I really got is the reason why there is no power button on it is there's really no reason to turn it off. And the reason why is because it's got the ability to charge the battery inside of it, so it acts as its standalone charger. Now there is an option to turn the OLED screen off on the front of the device, which I highly recommend, that way you don't get burn-in or anything like that, but the actual base station itself is always going to be powered as long as it's got a power source going to it, like the DC in or the USB power port itself. So that's something to note. But I mean, if that's a big issue for you, all you have to do is unplug it after each use. But I've left mine running for the past few weeks. I just have the OLED screen on the front turned off, and I haven't had any issues. There's been 0 issues, so I'm just gonna let it just do its thing. And there you guys have it. That is everything that you need to know about the SteelSeries Arctis Pro Wireless Gaming Headset. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, make sure you hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Also, if you're curious about anything else that I use while I'm gaming or streaming or just making content in general, or if you just want to hang out with me while I'm gaming, make sure you go follow me over on my Twitch channel. The link will be in the description below. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, great night, wherever you are. And until next time, peace out.
Jesus, Tifu.